Hey everyone, and welcome. In this live marketing clinic, we're talking about what happens. It was a great question posed. What happens when clients stop calling? What can you do next? And I thought I would share a few ideas of what I do. And if any of you end up coming on the show live, I will certainly answer your questions, but this will be my base question to get us going, and we'll just continue to work through it from there and work through this whole idea of what happens, because it all happens to us. I mean, the thing is, it's amazing how often, especially if you're a creative, that it seems like you go for maybe a few days and the phone is not ringing, and you think, oh my gosh, nobody's ever going to call me again. This is it. It's over. It's done. And there are things you can do to get that phone ringing again, to get the motion going, the flow going. And usually, and I'm going to kind of get a little philosophical on the front end of this and then give you some practical ideas that you can take action and do as we move into this segment in this live stream. But first, what I've noticed is your life often mirrors what you're doing. Meaning, if you have gotten comfortable and you're just sitting around and you're not doing what you need to do, the rest of the world kind of does the same thing. Your clients kind of do the same thing, and quite often things just slow down and nothing happens. And when you just pick up again and you start making emails and creating emails and sending them out and following up with people, making phone calls, calling that person that you've been meaning to call for a while, and getting out to a networking event and start being active again, all of a sudden things start happening again, and not necessarily from the direction you were going. So just because you went to a networking event and you called a few people doesn't mean that's where the new opportunities are going to come from. They seem to come from somewhere else. Why does that happen? I don't know. But it has happened to me continuously over and over. I'll give you an example from just this past week. So I noticed that I was not getting checks in the mail. I had invoices out and I was not getting checks in the mail. And so what I did is I actually took some time and I followed up with some people, connected with people, and some invoices were running a little late, followed up with them, sent those invoices, and bam, all of a sudden, of course, some of the people in which I rattled the trees with to say, hey, some of these invoices are due, they started coming through. But also at the exact same time frame, other invoices, people paid early. I mean, it was an amazing thing. 2 clients paid early, just out of the blue, just paid early. And it just happened that during that 24 hours after I started taking action and focusing on that specific activity. I'm not going to go any deeper than that. It just seems to be something that happens. If something is missing, that is often what happens. But sometimes you need to step back and really think about your career, if it's even deeper than that, and how you're approaching it. And if this is a process you wish to continue, you need to ask yourself why. Why is this happening? Why are people not calling? Is it because you are not doing the things you need to do? You are not marketing. You're not being engaged. You're not sharing the enthusiasm for what you do. And I mean, it really does work that way. I worked in retail many, many years ago, early in my career. And I noticed the days I sold more were the days that I was happy and engaging, cracked a few jokes, and had a good time doing what I loved to do. And if you're kind of sour on what you do, the people that work with you, the people that hire, they're going to know. You're not going to get that extra benefit of the doubt. And if it's among a lot of clients, your pie can shrink really quickly because people don't enjoy working with you. So you need to look at that. Are you still in the game? And then you need to decide, okay, now how am I going to move forward? How am I going to get those phones to ring? Now, one of the first things we can do, and let's just talk from a marketing perspective from this point on. The first thing we can do is obviously work in the area that works really well in all the 4 areas that we like to work on, which is developing awareness for our product or service or what we do, driving traffic to our website, improving conversions or sales. In other words, there's traffic coming, but are enough people buying? Is there a high enough percentage? And lastly, retention. And are we retaining the people that are our customers? I mean, are they staying customers? And are we earning their trust to continue to buy from us again and more often? So the one area you can easily jump into that can address a lot of this is social media. And maybe what you want to do, I preface all this about the activity, being active and getting out there. Well, maybe you're not connected to some of your clients, recent clients or people within the last year, say on LinkedIn. So maybe you should do that. Even vendors, maybe connect with them. You have a good enough relationship that, oh, absolutely. If I connect with this person, they're going to connect back with me. And send them a little message and say, hey, what's going on and how are you doing? And ask how business is. And get the conversation going about business. And you can do that on LinkedIn. Maybe you need to think about how you can better improve what you do and what you offer in the marketplace. And so maybe you can find some Facebook groups that you can go to. You can do that on LinkedIn too, and just get active that way. Again, and get a lot of times just being active kind of spurs other things. And maybe you often, I find it quite often, you develop new ideas. You start remembering things that you should have done. In others, maybe a lead, just something you read, a comment somebody made, say, oh my goodness, I had a lead a couple months ago and I never followed up. Maybe I should follow up. And you say, wow, 2 months, is it too late? Well, obviously that depends on your industry and the type of lead it was. Maybe it's something very casual or something you said you would follow up in a month and now it's 2. Hey, still follow up. Look at the cards. Pull out that drawer where when you've been networking and out meeting people and you have these business cards and you're not sure what to do with them, so you put them in that drawer and that pile gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Go through that drawer and start looking through and seeing, are there prospects here? Are there people who could use my product or service? And then start calling or emailing and following up that way, or doing the initial introduction that you said you would do a while ago. Believe me, that stuff can work. Some of it will just fall flat on its face. It's too late. The opportunity is past, but not all of them. Maybe the opportunity is past, but there's a new opportunity and you just happen to connect at the right time. I remember one time the phone was not ringing. Nothing was happening. And so this was like 20 years ago, early in my career. And maybe even a little longer than that. And I decided, I need to do something right now. So what I did was I opened up the phone book and I literally just, boom, right in the PR section, public relations people. And I clicked on that. It was a name of a public relations person that was a few miles away. Again, it was just random. And I called her. I said, hey, are you in need of a photographer? And she said, yes, I have a grand opening coming up in a week. Would you be available? Now, that stuff doesn't happen all the time, but it never would have happened if I had not called. Again, taking action. And believe it or not, I recall that even after that, after I did a few things like that, I only did that to one, and then I did some other things too to get things moving because I understood the concept at the time, and things started moving and get going. The problem is we go through cycles. We get things moving, we do what we know we're supposed to do, and then we get comfortable. And the moment we get comfortable, we start to slide back down. And that is why a lot of people don't get ahead in their business and their business does not grow. We're all about growing business on this YouTube channel. And this is one of the biggest things that I see is that people get to a comfortable spot and then they coast and then they fall back down. So instead of continuing and moving forward, they do the coast thing and then they go for the roller coaster. And it goes up and down like that versus taking it to the next level of keep going. and adding more people to support them if need be. Maybe an assistant to do some of the things you need to do. Even if you're a professional inside of a company, you can still hire an assistant maybe if it's under your own dollar. I don't know. Maybe it's somebody who works out of your own home. Maybe you have the budget. I mean, who knows? Home office, there's a lot of ways you can approach this. So social media is a big way to go, getting involved, connecting with people via social media, because you can passively remind people of what you're doing and what's going on. Share a story, share an anecdote of what has been happening, share a success story on Facebook and LinkedIn. Take some photographs of what you do or some video of what your service, the end result of your service, or before and after pictures. Create things that will attract people to what, the people that would need your product and service. Create things that would make them say, hey, I need to take action. Look at that video. That is really cool. Yes, I do need that. Or taking a photograph of, again, before and after, or the end result, and let people know that this is available to them. And that could be on Instagram. That could be a how-to on Pinterest. There's a lot of ways to go about that. And you can actually then take it a step further and then target people by spending a little bit of money, and target specific people who very well at a high level could really need your product or service. So you can do the advertising. And as I mentioned before, just getting out and networking. And so if the phone is not ringing, you can go on, say, meetup.com or even Facebook and look up what events are happening in your area. And there are probably a ton of events. Even if they're next week, make a list of them. Maybe try to go to 2 or 3 events next week. Just take the time to write them down. You may find some other events along the way, maybe tomorrow, the next day, but start looking for events to go to so you can get in circulation again by continuously shaking hands and letting people know you are out there. And remember, keeping that smile on your face, keeping that energy going. So another thing you can do, believe it or not, when the phone is not ringing and people and clients are not calling, is exercise. Take some time to exercise to get that energy level up. Do that on a regular basis. You have the time. If you don't have business going on, you can take a half hour to exercise. Maybe some people do some meditation. That works really well too, and help you focus on what you need to be. Because remember, half of success, if not more, is the attitude you bring to the marketplace. We know there are people who have a great attitude and don't necessarily sell a product that everyone needs or at the price point that everybody is willing to pay, but for some reason they still sell because they sold them. They sold their personal brand. And so even in the most crowded market, no matter what it is, I'm in 2 very crowded markets within social media, photography. I mean, these are very crowded markets, but I make a living because I develop a personal brand about what I do. So I'm not so worried that there is a saturated market. I'm only concerned that I'm meeting one client, and when I get that client, I keep them. And I keep them through good quality communication. I keep them through good work, and I teach them how to refer more business to me. And you build that community of clients. And as I mentioned, you keep that going because some are going to leave. It always happens. It could just be maybe you didn't communicate enough and they slowly go away. Maybe they weren't totally happy. Maybe they found a better solution. Maybe they found a better price. So you always need to be continuously, one, innovating, educating yourself, and continuously looking for new people out there in different ways to keep that phone ringing, and know that when things start picking up again, which they will, you don't allow this to happen. It doesn't mean you can't take some designated time off, but you can't let that plateau last very long at all. You have to continue that process. And even, here's one last thing to end on. A lot of times this happens with salespeople. They have a monthly goal, and sometimes they hit that goal at the 20th of the month. And what do? They stop. And the big salespeople, the ones that are real producers, don't stop when they hit the goal. They keep going. And that's the difference. Because now they have even more coming in, and they can put that money aside. They hit their goal, maybe that's what they needed for whatever their success metric was, or the fact that they needed this amount of money to maybe go on vacation or whatever it may be, but they didn't stop. So they have more money for next month too. And that is truly a big key. Too many people just stop, and that is why the phone stopped ringing. And so you need to reignite that. And so activity is the key. And activity, when I talk about search engine optimization, I talk about social media, success, the number one success metric in my opinion is activity. Being active out there on the web, in your business, all that spurs more activity for your business. And in social media and SEO, it works every time, and that's how I get clients up the ladder, how I get clients noticed, because of the activity that's going on around their brand, on social, on their website, and so forth. So you want to have a strategy to finish this up. An online strategy and an offline strategy. The online strategy, social media, maybe some paid ads to boost into some new territory. Email, have a good email campaign. Those are 3 things you can do right now. Offline, do some things for yourself to get yourself that energy. Exercise, meditation, focus, write out and look for some opportunities for meetings and events. Look through your cards to see if there are people and opportunities that you have not followed up on. And make some phone calls, and also go to networking events. If you do those things right there, just those things that I have just mentioned, you will start to see the phone ring once again, and things will start happening and you will be busy. All right, so what would you do if the phone stops ringing, things get slow? What are the things that you do? Put that in the comments below. I'm looking forward to reading them. Of course, if you like this video, please like it for me, and of course, subscribe to this YouTube channel for you. You have a great day. We'll talk to you next time.